Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hearthstone Masters Tour live from the Link Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's time for Late Night Hearthstone. I'm your host, TJ, joined by the Admiral. That's Admirable. Hey! We're about to bring you round 7, and it's going to be a pretty awesome match.
You almost said match 7.
Match 7.
The 7th match here.
I'm not used to Galaxy Swiss. It's been a while since we've had like these big Swiss events.
Yeah.
Especially with all the players here. We've had playoffs for years and years and years. But that's just like us in a small, cold studio. And all the players are at a nice, warm venue hanging out with each other hundreds of miles, potentially thousands of miles away. Now, we made them all come here to hang out with us.
You love to see that.
Yeah.
Idiot's going to hang out with me. Hey.
Hey.
Late Night Hearthstone.
Yeah, but the match that we're going to be broadcasting is Dog versus Kamaretai. Both players are currently 6-0 in the Swiss standings going into round 7. So definitely locked for day number 2 and on the verge of almost securing themselves a pretty top spot in the event, getting in that money in a big way.
Yeah, you still got a number of rounds that you're going to have to win in this one. But, you know, I digress. The players' records are very impressive at this point, and I think that this is going to be a pretty contrasting style that we're going to see in this match as well. I think that for Dog, this might be one of the most interesting decks I've seen in the field.
Absolutely.
Where it's very Freeze Mage-esque, and a player that I've seen running this list a number of times and with a bunch of different variants is APX Void, who I've tuned into a stream quite a bit recently because I think that Blizzard is one of the cards that can unlock a key to Mage matchups, and Dog is, you know, sitting at 6-0, is having massive success with this. I've yet to actually catch a match of his, and he seemed like he's in the zone, so I've kind of left him be for so far, but I think that Kamaretai's got his work cut out for him here because I think that on paper, this looks very Dog favored to me.
Yeah, this is, it seems like almost an anti-aggro version, a weird anti-aggro version of the Conjurer's Calling Mana Cyclone Mage list. It does have 2 Power of Creations, which seem out of place, honestly, after seeing the Magic Dart Frog, the Water Elementals.
See, I quite like it with the Magic Dart Frogs and the Water Elementals because those are the kinds of cards that make me want to spend my resources to keep them impactful in the game.
Sure, that makes sense.
And so Power Creation, I think, is a nice top end. Now, the one thing that has struck me as very unique is Kamaretai's style of play, where he has been very, very focused on eliminating opposing pressure, like laser focused. The match that of his that we watched a couple rounds ago, he was super focused on just clearing out the board from the other side. I was honestly quite surprised by how intently he was at clearing out minions from Tars on a rogue matchup. But that is honestly can be a very important measure in this matchup, but getting aggressive can also be a very important measure. So I'm curious to see how Kamaretai takes this on. You know, I've been watching Dog for a number of years, and he tends to get pretty aggressive in the right scenarios when it calls for it. So we'll have to see how that stacks up against Kamaretai. The matchup on paper, again, I think is Dog favored, just given the amount of top end that's in here and the ability to fight back against particular types of big built situations, thinking specifically of aggression with Sorcerer's Apprentice versus the Doomsayers from Dog's deck, and from Mountain Giant counterplay. Yeah.
Both players have double Frostbolt in their primary decks as well, which is interesting to note because it's not a automatic inclusion in pretty much any Mage deck these days. Cyclone Mage, you look, and they're playing a lot of cheap spells, and Frostbolt just kind of gets cut. And having a direct answer to those threats on turn 2 that you really want to get rid of, like Sorcerer's Apprentice, kind of changes the way the matchup works because you're not as willing just throw it at Sorcerer's Apprentice on turn 2. It's going to stick unless a Ray of Frost comes out, and trying to snowball the game from there.
Yeah, that to me is one of the biggest talking points of Dog's deck is that there actually is no Sorcerer's Apprentice or Mana Cyclone in the list. It's a very different Mage list altogether. Like it's taken such a drastic turn from what we've accepted as the norm. And so for Kamaretai, I do think that this is the right idea where you want to apply a lot of pressure and then get punishing for it. You know, the Magic Dart Frog here, this was a very quick turn. You are interested in, you know, keeping Acolyte's draws contained to 2 instead of 3. But that was about the quickest Dart Frog I've ever seen. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, when it's shiny and it draws a card, that makes it a lot more enticing.
Yeah, I mean, you hand me a shiny.
Ooh, Cinderstorm, Mirror Image could be good as well because you could use that to protect some key minions down the line.
I'd say traditionally Mirror Image is probably the consideration that's most on your mind. I think in this matchup, though, kamaretai is definitely the aggressor, and I think Cinderstorm has much more merit than it typically would in a traditional Mage Mirror match.
I made the kind of a bold claim earlier. I said that Dog's Mage deck seems like it's like the future of Mage.
Yeah.
It seems, I was trying to find bad matchups for it, and the only one I really settled on was like the aggro Overload Shaman or potentially mid-range Hunter. But it feels like it has checks for everything.
The glisten in TJ's eye when he told me this was childlike excitement.
I like to see this kind of innovation in a big field like this. Players have kind of been sitting on their laurels with the Cyclone Mage deck. I feel like Cyclone Mage is not a card you can rely on. I feel like a lot of players go all in with Cyclone Mage with Mana Cyclone, get a bunch of duds, and then say, well, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And Dog's deck doesn't rely on that. It's got
True story.
Good stuff to fight the early game with. It's not going to get blown out. It still has the Mountain Giant Conjure's Calling package. It's got greed in late game. Seems good.
I think this turn right here is probably my prime example of how this matchup is interpreted on paper, where Dog knows that he's behind. He's now seen a second Magic Dart Frog, which is a nightmare. He had a chance to take out that Luna and didn't. He favored card in hand and options more than trying to eliminate this board pressure. And it might have snowballed a bit out of control. I'll tell you what, leaving that Luna up was awfully risky.
Yeah.
And I think Dog might pay the iron price for this one.
It makes this Rabble Bouncer cheaper, and kamaretai currently doesn't have a fantastic way to fight through it, but he's got 2 Magic Dart Frogs on board, which means that even a Frostbolt almost deals with it in its entirety.
Yeah.
So traditionally, yes, a Frostbolt wouldn't dent a Rabble Bouncer, but when you factor in 2 Magic Dart Frogs and a Sorcerer's Apprentice on board, you could just chain through spells, keep drawing cards with Stargazer Luna, and kill whatever Dog plays.
Yeah, by the way, none of those cards really cost kamaretai anything. There was a Stargazer Luna in play.
Yeah, just refilled. And even though Magic Dart Frog is kind of put in a lot of players' lists as an anti-aggro card, in these control matchups, it just gives you so much gas.
Well, hang on a second here. kamaretai, we need to think about this.
So if you Frostbolt and Ray of Frost once.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. There's a lot of options here that are strong. And so I'm guessing he spotted something that works in this vein.
So Frostbolt plus double banana Ray of Frost is 6 damage.
Yeah, double Ray of Frost on its own is 1, 2, 3, 6 damage.
Is 6 damage, and then you could throw 1 banana on top of that.
And that clears.
And
there
that
you
clears
go.
the Mountain Giant.
So correct ordering, draw first. See what you play. This Giant's dead. Yeah, Dart Frogs are good.
Yeah, a Dog like needs a Blizzard. Like, that's it. And even then, what does it do?
You probably need a pair of Blizzards.
A pair of Blizzards.
This is not a good spot.
No.
How different would this game have been if Dog had just Frostbolt that Luna? Don't know.
I don't know.
Be a lot less cards on kamaretai's side. Whether those cards, be in hand or be in play, I don't know. But something would be less.
So Ziliax is some stall, but unfortunately, like it feels like the damage is already done. These Magic Dart Frogs, when they're in pairs, it's like kamaretai is going to operate on the game plan that he always would have operated on. It just has the added benefit of also killing whatever Dog plays.
That sounds to me like Dog he's done in this game anyway. I seriously don't understand how he's supposed to recover from this spot. The Dart Frogs just actually ran away with the game.
Rabble Bouncer and a Conjurer's Calling get 2 Baron Geddons.
Well, we're missing one of those things, which is Conjurer's Calling, and then we're missing 2 of those things, which is Baron Geddons.
You Frost Nova Doomsayer and hope that kamaretai has 0 spells in his hand.
Well, we're missing the Frost Nova.
Double Doomsayer, double Ray of Frost, and hope that kamaretai has no cards in his hand.
You know that button from the Toki hero run where you could press it and redo the turn? I think we need that to kill that Luna. I don't know about that Arcane Intellect on turn 3. That's my problem with this game. And I think from here, it's gotten out of control. There's, to me, very little analysis I can provide afterwards. I would love to hear Dog's thoughts as to why he did not kill that Luna.
Sure, play a Khadgar. 2/2 that draws a card. I'll take it.
I don't know, TJ. It costs 2 mana.
Stargazer Luna, I think, has drawn 8 cards.
It's ridiculous. It's a reason that it's coined out. You kill this card. He set it up with the ping. You know, he couldn't kill it on the first turn. I understand. Second one, though, just didn't follow. So now, TJ World is open.
He's got a Conjurer's Calling, a Mountain Giant, and then kamaretai, Cinderstorms, Frostbolt's Face, Banana something, and pretty much everything's dead.
Yeah, I was on board with the Baron Geddon pair. Just super dead.
Just start chucking spells. Deal 5 damage randomly split among all enemies, and then deal 2 damage to minions.
Magic Dart Frog is like better spell damage. Just hits minions every time.
Yeah.
Neither giant lives.
And he can kill the other one with relative ease.
Well, this could split up poorly. You know what, Dart Frog? You've done a good job. Have a good rest. This is a blowout. I say that looking up at Dog's hand, not with the fullest of confidence. The one thing to always consider is the lack of reach that Mage has.
Power of Creation can be reach.
But not always.
We saw it earlier.
It's true. But there's still a chance.
Was it Dog, too, that did it? Yeah, it was Dog. He in his tertiary list, he doesn't play Power of Creation, but he does play an Arcane Dynamo.
Arcane Dynamo.
Yeah, because it's like dynamic, but without the ick and with the O.
Yeah, not Dynamo.
No. I disagree. I don't think that's how English works.
Well, sometimes you push through Rabble Bouncer.
Do you, though?
Well, if your Conjurer's calling it.
You Conjurer's calling it, but there's still taunts at 7 mana.
There are. That's why I said sometimes.
Yeah, and Dog has Alexstrasza. So if kamaretai uses Conjurer's calling, gives up his board in order to push Dog low, then he just Alexstrasza's back up, has board, has 15 health.
Wow.
And it summons more because his Conjurer's calling. Or because his Khadgar.
I don't think I've ever quite seen something like this. So Dog, I do think actually is in a very reasonable spot now.
With Alexstrasza, yes.
It's not because of, I mean, this whole board's going away, but it's the Alexstrasza. You get an 8/8 and you get board recovery from it. So, you know, that's really the kicker I failed to keep intact was my head flashed back to old mages that they do this and then they kill you with frostbolts and fireballs. That's not happening to Dog this game. You know, maybe the fireball part, I don't know. But he's going to be back up to 15 on this turn. Unless for some reason he really believes there's a better play.
Now, kamaretai does have just gas for days, has 3 mana Mountain Giant plus Conjurer's Calling in hand.
That's
and
a
double
Caligo
Power
speed
Creation.
up. Caligo's right into 10 mana, though, with initiative. It's possible.
It's possible, but it just doesn't feel likely. I don't know.
So the 2 draws I'm looking at for Dog right now, 2 Frost Novas, 2 Blizzards.
Yep.
All of those will keep his board safe, unless there's just, you know, burst damage out of the power creations.
Yep.
You know, you can't do nothing about that.
Yep.
I think that in this position, if Dog draws 1 or 2 key cards in a row, he could very easily win this game. Safeguard, certainly a strong defensive option for kamaretai, though.
Yep.
Second Frost Nova of his own.
Yep. Second Frost Nova.
So Dog didn't draw Blizzard or anything this turn, but you still have a Discovery from Kaligos. And if the Kaligos sticks, which it very likely will, in that position, Dog is the follow-up of Archmage Antonidas with a fresh draw as well. So this could still be some really big turns from Dog coming up.
kamaretai, he hasn't played Ziliax, I believe. I think the Ziliax was played from Dog's side. He's got it in his primary deck, so it can magnetize on the Safeguard or even the 0/5 taunt that comes out from Safeguard. Now the 0-5 taunt, the only thing that it matters for is you take 3 damage to face, and I think Dog has to be worried about protecting his life total here, but he also has to kind of take risks. He has to say, I need to make a big play now to try and get myself back in the game. Mulch Muncher is in the 9-mana pool now.
Ah, that's an excellent point. So is King Crush.
King Crush.
Oh.
Time runs out on me.
We haven't even discussed that Arcane Keysmith 50% of the time offers you a defensive measure.
These are all... Spellbender's good for Conjurer's Calling. You know there's one in the hand. Mirror Entity's good because your opponent hasn't played a Mountain Giant yet. And Ice Bear is good because it's health gain. So many things to consider.
All right, the freeze battle begins. Dream card's coming.
Nightmare, okay. All right, all right.
Free damage. Also, Kamaretai's down to 6 cards in deck.
Yeah, that's what happens when you draw, what, 10 cards?
Well, he does not have.
Stargazer Luna?
He doesn't have Archmage Antonidas in the main deck. Like all of his damage reach is minions and 2 Frostbolts and then random outcomes.
Yeah. I think Dog picks Spellbender.
I think Dog might be ahead. This is weird.
This is very weird. Still needs those freeze cards, but has 4 left in the deck. With 13 cards remaining.
I feel like I say this all the time with Mage. I apologize. I very underestimated the power that Dog could leverage getting into 9 mana with a clear board.
Well, the Alexstrasza changed everything.
Yeah.
The Alexstrasza on 9, because Kamaretai got Fireball for Mana Cycle, he would have ended the game. With no Ziliax and with Ziliax played and no Alexstrasza, Dog would have died. Spellbender.
It's a frozen board, though. Dog needs a big draw, and that is exactly that. 4 freezes, board-wide freezes, naturally in Dog's deck. The first one he picks up at card 15, 16, 17 now? 18? 18 cards into the deck finds the first board-wide freeze.
So the question here, though, is do you fill up your board and play Calicos to play the free Blizzard, or do you keep a board space open and just play Blizzard? Because Calicos, you get to discover, then you still get the effect of the first spell you play.
Yeah.
You play Blizzard on top of it.
I want the Calicos in play.
All right. Calicos, very expensive, obviously.
You get a free spell, too.
Yeah, but is there any merit to keeping a board space open if you need, like, Archmage Antonidas?
So, yes and no. Kind of the way that I'm seeing it is you could expend the Nightmare to get something done, but you also have hero power just on your Dust Devil if you really, really desperately need it.
Okay, that's true. I'm sold on Calicos.
Time runs out on me.
Well,
Blast Wave?
I guess. Helps you clear out board space if you really, really need it. I think we might be seeing a comeback. I think that Kamaretai is going to need some fortune. There's multiple ways to get it here.
Reckless Rocketeer.
Ooh, that card makes me nervous. It really does. Because any of the 6 drops that have charge, which is basically just Reckless Rocketeer.
And Archer Commander.
Yeah, like those end the game on the spot.
Essentially. Archer Commander would put Dog down to 7, which would set up for Fireball Ping.
Now, how much about the counter push here, actually? Because the reason that Kamaretai...
Wait, hold on. How much damage is this?
This is a lot of damage. Oh, but the Wind Fury on the Dust Devil!
So Wind Fury on the Dust Devil, you can Blast Wave away the taunts. There's so much going on here.
Blast Wave taunts.
He can even double Ray of Frost to push additional damage through.
So you get that first point of clear there. These minions are going to die to the Blast Wave. You push them through.
That's
Blast
lethal.
Wave gets through. That's 12 plus 16 on the Dust Devil plus 4 from the Caligos. Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's way over lethal. Extra damage to spare. Dog finds a comeback victory there. I thought he was done. Takes game 1 over Kamaretai. The future of Mage. This deck is the future of Mage.
What happened?
Magic Dart Frog's good, but eventually you just need damage. You can clear their
you're
board.
right.
You can clear their board all you want, but eventually you just need damage.
I feel like there's got to be something that Kamaretai could do differently. I mean,
The Conjure's calling on the Rabble Bouncer to push damage, that turn could have been played differently. I understand what he's thinking, but if Alexstrasza is a possibility, Alexstrasza punishes that play wholeheartedly. Yes, you go into an empty board, but you can generate a little bit more resources. Hold on to the second Conjure's calling. The turn after that, he could have Mountain Giant double Conjure's calling. And then what position is he in?
It would have ended the same, though, as the board-wide freeze.
Board-wide freeze, yes, but
another chance at Grave.
Another chance at Grave Horror, which buys time. I think it's still likely Dog wins in that scenario because at that point he just had such a good board state.
That's a very complicated game. Honestly, having to trade that Dart Frog in, I think might have been a big difference in that game. For kamaretai, it meant that your spells were not providing 2 damage to minions; they're providing 1 instead.
Was there a way to sequence that differently?
That's a good question.
If you Frostbolt first, then maybe your Magic Dart Frogs deal more damage to the Grave Horror, and then your Cinderstorm gets more damage to face, so you can't kill. You have to trade more minions in to kill the Mountain Giant.
Either way, that is just an impressive game from Dog's standpoint. I cannot believe he's done this. How did he win? I still am like shocked by it. Like there was a Luna in play for it drew like 700 cards. Just stunned.
Yeah, a crazy game, and Dog is sticking with his primary list because he has that super greedy primary list with the quadruple freeze.
Yeah. Very much a target of Mage and Warrior, I feel like, is in this list.
And kamaretai going to be switching to his secondary deck. He's removed the Frostbolts from that early game package, has added 2 Sea Giants. And the other moves, he's removed Water Elemental and put in 2 Blizzards. So kind of an interesting take.
Yeah, I'm a little bit unsure about this Sorcerer's Apprentice. And normally I'm okay with it in the Mage matchups. The one thing that there is to consider is exactly Doomsayer and how it interacts with Sorcerer's Apprentice. Your whole turn is now just a turn 3 Arcane Intellect, except you're down a Sorcerer's Apprentice. And if you saw what happened last game with Magic Dart Frogs and the Mana Cyclones kind of being stranded for a kamaretai, I think it's a vital tool against this deck. Dog is not trying to fight back with traditional style pressure. He's trying to just simply have some board containment and then take advantage of the fact that he's scaling harder in the late stage.
Yeah. Dog has 6 different cards, 6 cards, period, in his deck that deal with the turn 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's Ray of Frost, 2 copies, Doomsayer, 2 copies, Frostbolt, 2 copies.
Yeah, I think if you see the Ray of Frost and the Frostbolt, you're a lot happier about it because you get to play a minion and keep that aggression rolling. When you see Doomsayer, that's the worst because Dog gets initiative.
Yeah.
So I was wrong about the Luna. Dog didn't kill Luna. Everything panned out somehow magically. For kamaretai, I have a very, similar opinion on this. I think that he doesn't really have the liberty of doing anything differently other than just having not played his Sorcerer's Apprentice, though, which, that's arguably incorrect to begin with, not playing it. So, it's tough to say. Long story short, these are very hard games of Hearthstone right now.
Yeah. Mage already is one of the most difficult decks to play in the metagame. Honestly, the pure Mana Cyclone Mage is one of the most difficult decks I've ever played.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Patron Warrior's up there. There's just a lot of math.
You know what? I'm hitting you with a hot take here. I think Cyclone Mage is harder than Patron Warrior was.
I think I agree. Patron Warrior was just being able to do math quickly on the fly. Mana Cyclone Mage is operating with turns that you've never seen before.
That to me is what makes it harder, is that a different pan of outcomes will just, wildly, it's a game you've never played before. With Patron Warrior, you get into some complicated spots, no doubt about it. It was hard, and min-maxing on that deck was paramount to its win rate, and a little bit of min-maxing went a very long way once you hit a certain point in that deck.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of understanding what you're actually doing, I knew what I was doing with Patron Warrior. I was dealing a bunch of damage with charge stuff. With this Cyclone Mage deck, I look at my hand and I go, I legitimately don't know how I'm supposed to win this game. And the answer is a Mana Cyclone somehow. A lot of mage spells and a lot of redundancy. I don't want to figure it out. It's hard.
Amen, brother.
I long for simpler times like Patron Warrior.
I long for simple times like mid-range Druid.
Ooh.
Play a 4/5.
TJ, you can't talk to me this way. I'm getting married next week. I'm flattered, but my answer is no.
Nathan, you want to go jam some mid-range druid for a week and a half.
That does sound like a jolly old time, though. I mean,
It does.
I'll tell you what else does. 9 drops. Bulldozer.
Bulldozer.
The sleeper of the set. It's dozing off.
And it looks like this has to be a mana cyclone turn from kamaretai. His hand says, yeah, you can't do anything else. You can Blizzard and try and buy some time, but if Dog has a single Conjurer's Calling, you're dead.
Well, I will say that Blizzard Magic Dart Frog is a very powerful set of tools.
Yep.
I honestly, like, when Colento played this version, like this style in week number 1 at Grandmasters, I was kind of like, oh, that's cute. You're beating up aggro decks. And then the more I saw it, I was like, wow, that card's just, like, weirdly, strongly synergistic with this deck. It just does everything this deck wants to do.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a long road ahead right now for Dog to secure a victory in this spot, and similarly for kamaretai to stabilize that board position. And so the way I look at it, one of the players would be winning if things panned out ideally. The other one would be bringing it back to a strong position. So I think favorite Dog.
Well, kamaretai does set up a secret of obviously randomly generated from the mana cyclone. So Dog's going to hesitate here when it comes to secret. And I think the biggest worry he has is Spellbender, which means the Ray of Frost pickup is exceptional because this opens him up to be able to Conjurer's Calling freely now that he's tested for both Counterspell and Spellbender.
Oh, yeah.
Get some 9-drops. Give me some Mulch Launcher, some King Crushes.
Oh, how about a nice Dormu?
How about 2 Nozdormus?
What in the heck? kamaretai has 15 seconds to do this.
Time runs out on me.
Looks good to me. Oh my gosh, the Dart Frog animations with Nozdormu, that's...
You can still play your cards. It's just the animations that have to play out. But I think that like bleeds
Seeing
into
an
Dog's
outcome
turn.
can change things, right?
And now Dog has to think quick too.
Well, that's what he normally does. This is his environment.
I think if there's multiple Nozdormus on the board, they should just add onto their effect.
Just keeps reducing it.
Keeps reducing it. You have 4 Nozdormus on board. Your opponent has 4 seconds to make their turn.
This is actual craziness.
One of the admins for the event was like, we're going over time. You guys need to play round 7 fast.
Oh, Hakar.
Hakar the Soul Flare.
You're going to have no time to do Hakar math. Yeah, go ahead and think about that one while you're playing your turns
Big Bad
quick.
Archmage Caligos. What is happening? I don't even have time to think.
That's perfect territory for us.
I mean, Dog has Blizzard. He's got double Frost Nova. But he's got to think. What do they just keep freezing the boards back and forth?
You're used
and
to being
15 seconds.
You're used to being able to identify who has the edge in this circumstance. You don't have time to think about that anymore.
You just play your stuff. This is a mirror entity, by the way. Does he have time to attack with Alec here?
Calculations are flawless.
Looks like he got him in.
Look at Dog's face just for a moment. He just took a deep sigh, and he's trying his hardest to focus in on what's happening here.
Runs out on me.
Even Caligos makes this weird because your first spell is free.
They're just slinging freezes back and forth. This is almost certainly not ideal, but they don't have time to figure that out. This is wonderful.
You kill Alec here? I mean, sure.
Kinda. Board's full.
Time runs out on me.
Check the secret. That's the goal.
Was it mirror entity again?
Happened so fast, TJ.
Geppetto Joybuzz, Ironbark Protector. I'm just saying minions.
This honestly, the way I'm looking at it now, it might go in favor of Dog because kamaretai is using the last freeze. So it depends on how much this clears off in totality. Dog, the smile, of course, I don't blame him. Because he has the last say in this with the Blizzard. So kamaretai is forced to sweep some of this off board and then take an action afterwards. The value battle is, I think, clearly won by kamaretai, but I don't know if the tempo battle necessarily is. Malagos. Malagos Blizzard, 7 damage.
He got a new Undasta as well.
He has a Ray of Frost. The Undasta doesn't summon a beast because there's nothing to summon.
That's a board clear.
That is insane.
What just happened?
The 9-drop Conjurer's Calling ended the game.
And
it's over.
That's it. I feel like this is just how Hearthstone should be played.
What on earth?
What if players just had 15 seconds forever to make their turns?
What did we just... Well, then that would just... You'd have to dust refund Nozdorm use at that point.
How insane would that be?
That is one of the strangest games of Hearthstone that I've seen, and I feel like I say that every week that I cast this mage deck. And to tell me that you could have figured that out with some certainty is crazy, A, and B, you're just wrong.
I mean, at that point, you just freeze your opponent's board and Conjurer's Calling your highest cost, lowest health thing. That's essentially what that matchup came down to. And at the end of it all, Dog now 7-0 after the first day of play. Exceptional.
That was just weird. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I wish I had more analysis to provide as the turns are panning out. I was just watching the freezes bounce back and forth, and I went, Dog's got the last freeze, advantage Dog.
Yeah.
And then he hit a Malagos and blew up the whole board. But
probably didn't need it, but
definitely
maybe,
didn't need it.
Maybe. I mean, Sorcerer's Apprentice was drawn. He had like 2 bananas, a Cinderstorm, and a Frostbolt in hand or something like that, or a Conjurer's Calling.
Yeah.
So probably didn't matter, but just kind of the sprinkles on top of the perfectly iced cupcake.
It's that salt thing, but they're just sprinkling Malagoses and Blizzards.
The Malagos animation.
Yeah.
But very impressed. I've kind of been touting this mage deck from Dog all throughout the broadcast today. I love it. I think it's got good matchups across the board. It seems like a couple aggro decks it's susceptible to, but Dog, even with all that greed, has found a way to even main deck Harrison Jones and Acidic Swamp Ooze. And Doomsayer is just good against aggro decks. And you can see how he fares against control decks because we saw him beat a Warrior on stream earlier today. And now, even though this is kind of a non-traditional Mage Mirror, because Kamaretai's primary deck does have the Water Elementals and the Power of Creation, the Magic Dart Frog, so it's not like the full-on like giant versus giant battle that we're used to seeing. It seems like it just has game against everything.
Yeah, the 2 big things I look at is, number 1, what enabled this? And it was the Luna's Pocket Galaxy buff. It being reduced from 7 mana to 5 mana means that you have a very clear plan post Frost Nova Doomsayer.
Yep.
You rip a Luna's Pocket Galaxy. You can do that off coin.
Yeah.
Like that to me is one of the biggest strengths I think that you have is that as an individual card and what kind of inspires that idea. And then number 2, it's the fact that rather than focusing on having big turns of Mana Cyclone, he's focusing just simply on eliminating opposing minions.
Yeah.
And so one of the 2 things I look at is Augmented Elec gets checked more often, Clockwork Goblin gets checked more often. You take less snowball damage as a result of that, and you have 2 Acolyte of Pains to make sure that Dinomatic is a tougher card for Warrior to play in those. And so you have some different angles of attack versus those decks where players just frankly can't have a lot of reps against your deck. And so as a result of it, they are often navigating some pretty unfamiliar territory, which I think is directly into one of Dog's major strengths.
Yeah, Dog has been playing Hearthstone for some time. I mean, he's a big streamer now, but a lot of players didn't watch Dog from the beginning or don't remember. Dog became popular as a streamer because of his competitive play, because he was finishing High Legend, and he used to be like a Druid specialist, just good old Ramp Druid. He used to get Rank 1 Legend all the time with Ramp Druid. People would come watch his stream if they wanted to learn a lot about Druid. Eventually just kind of blew up. You know, the chill, always wearing shirt guy that he is, people flock to him.
I mean, that's what happens when you build Unity decks and you also perform well at tournaments with them.
Yeah.
That's a very rare thing that you see happen in Hearthstone. A lot of times it is very well-refined lists, but it seems like occasionally throughout the twists and turns of that Hearthstone career, Dog has managed time and again to find something unique to bring to a tournament.
Yeah. I seeing Dog's run now kind of reminds me of, I can't remember exactly which DreamHack it was. I believe it was DreamHack Austin in 2017. Dog went undefeated in the Swiss portion, and then lost in like round of 16, like lost right away. So hope that doesn't bode poorly for Dog in this
Bring
event.
up that old stuff.
You know, it's
the stamp of the
kind
TJ
important.
curse on him.
This feels very similar to
Remember this time this awful thing happened? Look at how similar this circumstance is.
I hope he's not listening or watching right now.
He's right there!
He's charging! No,
He just runs up with the excitement of a little puppy.
it's very hard to charge someone when you're wearing boat shoes. Turns out, which is dogs' only foot wardrobe.
They look comfy.
They do look comfy, but it's kind of funny. He's always just the same: jeans, boat shoes, and a Team Liquid jersey.
Just like a real dog. Excited to see you no matter what.
Yeah, that's right. Just chill, kind of like, hey, what up? I'm Dog. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Fun and lovable, too.
Yeah. But we are kind of wrapping up round 7 of Swiss here. We can kind of take a look at the floor. Things have started to quiet down now. There's a few matches kind of wrapping up. But what are your general thoughts after we've seen kind of one full day of play here in Vegas?
The format's wide open. I think when you take a look at it from top to bottom, number one, we have a format that we haven't entirely figured out strong strategies for yet. We have good strategies. I don't think we're seeing Final Form for Specialist. Second one is just the buzz of this event in general. You know, coming to live tournaments is what kept me playing cards for so long, and the fact that we have so much talent collected here by virtue of they had to qualify for the tournament by winning a smaller tournament to get to this point and now competing for massive prize, it gives me that feeling I had again when I first started attending tournaments, and it's awesome. And then number 3 is just that the buffs that we had with Rise of the Mechs have opened up a tremendous amount of opportunity from just a handful of cards.
Yeah.
Not all of them are going to be used. You know, the nature of it is that some things are just weaker than others. # priest. But if you look at it in totality, Viper brought Necromechanic to this event. Dog's bringing Luna's Pocket Galaxy to this event. These are cards that have never seen playing competitive prior to these buffs.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wonderful precedent that we have set, and I'm looking forward to more of that stuff in the future.
So am I, and I did just get update that the 3 undefeated players at 7-0 after 7 rounds of play are Dog, Hypno, and Gallon.
Wow.
Yeah, Gallon coming off of his stint of casting the Europe Grandmasters. Maybe he learned a thing or two.
Hey, I taught him everything he knows.
Taught him everything he knows. When Gallon came in to cast Europe Grandmasters, he was a 0-7 Swiss player. Leaves casting Europe Grandmasters, he's a 7-0 Swiss player. I can only assume that's Admiral's doing.
Well, I can't take all the credit.
Yeah.
TJ taught me everything I know.
Yeah. Before Admiral casted with me, he was a 0-7 Swiss player. Nope. Yeah. But it's been a fun day here for day number 1 of Masters Tour Las Vegas at the Link Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. But it's time to say goodbye. But don't worry, we got plenty more action coming throughout the weekend with day 2 and day 3. Tomorrow we will return at 9 a.m. Pacific here on twitch.tv/Play Hearthstone. So from myself, from Nats Admirable, and from the entire broadcast crew here at the Link, thanks for watching, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow.